I'd play Connor Jennings up there. I think I'd be concerned about what we'd lose with him deeper because he's great at winning the ball back and starting moves off for us. But I just don't see any alternatives. And at least if you put Connor up there, he will battle, he will win his headers, he'll work all day. And maybe Dennis can then feed off of that. And then maybe you can go with Apter wide and Morris wide, or if Hawks comes back playing wide. But look, it's a huge concern. He's come back. We scored 3 goals away at Stevenage. We scored 3 goals on Saturday. And while he was injured, we were struggling to score goals. So yeah, it's a big blow. It's a hammer blow. But this is what the squad's for. We've got a massive squad, and we can't be in a situation where we're reliant on one man. So, it's up to Adkins now to find the solution, and hopefully, we can defend as well as we did on Saturday. So we stay in games, then maybe we don't need to score 3 and 4s to win games.
I said I'd give you some raw stats. So here are the raw stats. Luke Norris has started 4 league games for Tranmere since he arrived at Prenton Park. Of those 4 league games, Tranmere have won 2 and they have lost 2. 6 points picked up, 1.5 points per game. He has come on as a substitute in 2 matches, at home to Barrow on the opening day of the season and in the defeat at Stockport last month. Both those games ending in defeat. 0 points picked up in games where he's come on as a sub. Tranmere have played a further 11 league games without Luke Norris this season. Won 2, drawn 1, lost 8. 7 points, 0.64 points per game in the matches that he hasn't featured in. If you factor in all the games that he hasn't started in the league for Tranmere this season, then they are averaging 0.54 points per game. The stats speak for themselves. I know that you're saying, and I think quite rightly, that he didn't necessarily put in a man-of-the-match performance against Forest Green, but the stats are clear. Even if the pool that you're fishing in for the games that he has started is fairly small, when Luke Norris is playing for Tranmere, they are a significantly better side because he will bring more players into the game. He will make Tranmere a more attacking unit. He will make them a better, stronger unit, a more physical unit up front as well. He brings Christian Dennis into the game. And if this is, as is, I am told, possible, a significant spell on the sidelines again, and by significant, I mean another 6-week chunk out of the side or 2-month chunk out of the side like we've just had, and Tranmere are going to again average 0.64 points per game over the next 2 months, then they're going to be in serious trouble come January.
Yeah, before Norris came back from this first injury, I was sort of saying to a lot of my mates that it's ridiculous how few games he's played, and yet how much it felt like we'd missed them. We'd only seen him have 1 good game against Harrogate, and instantly you could see, right, that's what we've been missing. Someone who's going to bully League 2 defenders and make us a proper League 2 team. He'd only played a couple of games, and I was like, this is ridiculous. We should, and I'm going to put my Paul Ritchie hat on a second and say, we should have recruited better than that to have a team so reliant on someone that you could see how reliant we were after 2 games. So that's not good enough, and it is a concern. What I will say, the little flip side I will say is during that spell where he wasn't playing, we had Mr. Dawes in charge for a lot of it. And as much as I liked Dawesy as a coach and I liked how he talked, we all know what that experiment was. It was an absolute disaster. And Dawesy didn't exactly try to tinker with things during that period that Norris wasn't there. We didn't really try and mix the formation up and try something different to accommodate the fact we were missing him. I'd like to think that Nige will at least consider how we go about games. As I've said, I would be putting Jennings up there, but maybe you tinker the formation, maybe you tinker how you get support up to Jennings, how you get players in the right positions to attack. Because Dawesy literally just put out the same formation and mixed players around, but in the same formation. And it was just like, well, you can't do the same thing over and over again and expect something different to happen. So you maybe without him now, with Nigel in charge, a bit more experience and a bit more nous to mix things up. However, those stats terrify the life out of me. At a time when we've just beat Forest Green and we should be talking about going upwards in the league, that is a daunting statistic still.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I know, you're seen as negative, and I'm probably seen as negative by a lot of people, and that's fine. I just go on what I see. I can only go on what I've seen in the evidence, and the evidence tells me so far that we are awful without Luke Norris in the team. I can't, you can't make a case of it being. You just read the stats out there, Matt. It's a fact. That's not me being negative. That's not me being doom mongering about future prospects. I'm just going off what I've seen, and what I've seen so far is we're an awful football team with Luke Norris not in the team. Now Nigel's been given the job on a 2.5-year contract. He's getting paid to make decisions. He's got to use every bit of his experience now to think of a way, as Tom's just said, to accommodate the fact we're probably not going to have Norris now. Well, I would have thought at least the rest of this year. I don't know how long, possibly even longer. We've got a massive squad. If he wants to keep 2 up front, which I'm sure a lot of people want him to, because I think that's how you get the best out of Dennis, because there's absolutely no point in playing Dennis up front on his own because you're just carrying a man. How he's going to go about that, whether we get, more pace out wide. All I would say is as well, to put a positive spin on things, was Apter wasn't really at it. And, we didn't have Apter in the doors, and he was been in and out in the team early doors under Adkins. Now he's firing. I mean, he looks a real player, and we've got that factor now, which we didn't really have before. So at least we've got him, and he's so positive, and he goes at players. So that's another thing that might worry opposition teams. So look, it's a real problem. It's worrying, but you cannot rely on one player. When Vaughan got injured, the season collapsed, and here we are again discussing the possibility of that happening again, and it's not good enough.